Good evening, all of you. On behalf of Sri Lanka Kuwait chapter, I warmly welcome all of you for joining this evening on our free webinar, Financial Zen, Mindful Money Management for Stress-Free Living. I'm Chaaminda Pereira, an Executive Committee member of Sri Lanka Kuwait chapter. Dear friends, we will be sharing a link to claim your CPD credit at the end of the session. For CA members, please click on the link, follow the instructions, and claim your CPD credits. If you need any clarifications or queries during the session, please feel free to text in the Q&A session. We will raise your queries to the presenter at the end of the presentation. The objective of today's session is to learn how integrating mindfulness into financial practices can reduce stress and foster a balanced life, and also harmony between financial health and personal happiness. And this is the best time to introduce our today's session speaker, none other than Mr. Chaaminda Kumarasiri, a well-known icon in our professional community. With due respect to sir, let me read your profile for our audience. Mr. Kumarasiri is a senior chartered accountant, management consultant, keynote speaker, business advisor, corporate trainer, and a financial wellness coach with a proven track record, holding senior leadership positions in both local and multinational corporations. He holds multiple leadership roles across various influential organizations. He is the founder and the president of the Asia Pacific Institute of Money and Entrepreneurship Development, the CEO of Human Capital Partners, and the chairman, principal consultant of HCP Consulting Private Limited. His contributions extend to serving as a director, advisor, and consultant to several leading organizations in both the private and public sectors. He also serves on the International Panel on Accounting Education at the International Federation of Accountants as the only representative from the entire South Asia. He has served on the Governing Council of Sri Lanka for 2 consecutive terms and currently serves as the chairman of FCCA Sri Lanka Member Network Panel. Mr. Kumarasiri possesses an array of professional and academic qualifications with numerous awards and medallions. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants of UK, the Associations of Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka, the Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. He has also obtained a B.Sc Accounting Special Degree with a first-class honor from the University of Sri Jawadhanapura, and now he holds an MBA in Finance from the University of Colombo. He has been bestowed with FCCA National Advocate of the Year Award in 2022 for his exceptional commitment and dedications to promote the accounting profession and its values. As a leading corporate trainer, he has inspired over 1 million individuals, both in Sri Lanka and overseas. His key areas of specialization in training include leadership development, financial wellness, and strategic planning. He is a key player in the entrepreneurial ecosystems of Sri Lanka and appears in many public forums, national TV, radio channels, YouTube channels, and invitee of business forums and entrepreneurship-related events as a keynote speaker and a resource person for competitions and workshops. Having read out his comprehensive and diverse profile, now let me invite Mr. Kumarasiri to start his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sabira, for that lengthy introduction. Hope I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, right. I must first thank CA Sri Lanka Kuwait chapter for inviting me for a session on a timely topic that we all are concerned about. And I also had the privilege of visiting Kuwait some time ago for a CPD session. And I appreciate all the good work done by the chapter for the profession as well as the community. So without further ado, let me get into the topic today. This topic is somewhat strange, I believe, for some of us being technical people, but I don't think we can rule out the fact that irrespective of our technicalities, our professions, our job roles, we all have our own struggles with finances. So therefore, especially those who live in Sri Lanka, I don't need to reiterate the type of challenges that they face. Nevertheless, let me get into the presentation. First, I'll share my slides and then we'll discuss about the topic and the rest. So let me first give you a background as to how I got into this. Because I was working in the corporate sector for over 2 decades in various positions, and then I left the career to start something on my own. So what led me to start something on my own has one key element, which was the realization of who I am and what I want in life. And that gave me the direction as to where I should play the rest of my life without sticking into the corporate machine. That was the realization that took me away from that and then showed me a different path to engage much more meaningfully and I would say happily. So in that exercise of searching self and finding the purpose of life, I also got an opportunity to explore the subject of mindfulness, which I have been learning and teaching over the last 6-7 years in various capacities. This is all about finding your purpose of life and then connecting it with the external world and, in a broader sense, the universe. So in that, we also have another concept that I'm going to discuss a little more today. That is the financial well-being part. Before I get into the well-being part of it, it is as a branch of the broader finance domain that most of the technical finance people are not exposed to. Because we are exposed to the IFRSs, we are exposed to the technicalities, we are exposed to the formulas, templates, various models. But unfortunately, being in finance, most of us do not pay enough attention to this branch called behavioral finance. Because behavioral finance is a branch of finance that is going beyond the technical finance domain to a little bit of sociology and psychology. And in that, there's something called financial psychology. And that is another subject I've been learning over the past couple of years, which helped me to first balance my life in many ways, not being such a rich person in terms of wealth. On the other side, I've been able to help many people and organizations in achieving success financially and in your overall life in terms of quality of life. So when I was working on these two areas, the mindfulness bit and the financial well-being, I tend to realize that these are not two different domains altogether. In terms of a human being, there is a greater connection between these two concepts. So I thought, why don't I marry the two and have something for the benefit of the general public so that they can look at both the quality of life and financial freedom together. So that is where this concept of financial zen, I thought, would be much more relevant in today's context for the audience. So if I am to ask you a question before I move forward, right? I'm going to open a poll. You can use this polling option and vote whatever relevant to you. What are your top financial concerns? So for this poll purpose, I have no option to give you multiple options. Just pick the most concerning one for you, right? The most concerning one for you as of now in terms of finances, pick that one. And if you don't have the most concerning one here, you can pick others, right? I'm going to launch the poll, then you can pick the choice, right? Take few seconds and do it fast. We have around 270 participants. It's a good number. By now, 130 have responded. So somebody is asking about the options. Options are there in the slide, right? So not being able to meet monthly expenses is A. Not having enough emergency savings is B. Not being able to settle the debts is C. Not being able to maintain my lifestyle is D. And other is E. Right. So I've got 163. In the interest of time, let me stop here. Don't worry, those who couldn't respond, that's fine. Let me end the poll and just show you the results, right? So out of close to 170 respondents, 42 have said other, everyone else have a choice. Let me publish it. I think you can see the results. Right. So as you can see, B and D are somewhat closer. Not having enough emergency funds, not being able to maintain my lifestyle. And this is a typical response I get for mid to upper income level brackets, because when I do for employees at lower levels of organizations, you have A as the number one because the income levels are not adequate to meet the day-to-day. But those who earn a reasonable income, these are the answers I get. Now, as you can see, where we get stuck. And although this is a quick one, the truth is that most of us got disturbed the most due to the item 4 here, right? Since the corona pandemic, most of us got disturbed with our lifestyle. We can't maintain our routine lifestyle. So most of the stress factors, because when I do this one-to-one coaching sessions with people, I most of the time identify the stress boils down to the fact that you are now unable to maintain your lifestyle. That shock has created the stress, and that stress is released in different fronts without your knowledge at times. So that has to be understood. I'll talk about it later as we move on. Right. Just to give you a flavor of the problems that we have, that's what I want to highlight. Now, if you look at this, the point I'm trying to make here, if you look at this, all these areas cause stress in us. But you won't believe when I say, out of the stress that we get out of these problems, up to 70 to 80% of the stress we get are what we create within. That means, probably, let's take an example. You have a debt issue. When you have a debt issue, the amount of stress that you get in your head, if you analyze it, up to 70 to 80% of that stress is avoidable stress, I would say. Avoidable in the sense, by changing your attitude within your mindset, you can avoid it. But the balance is the actual problem, because if you have a problem out there, a technical problem, a cash flow problem that is there, you have to solve it. But the point I'm trying to make is the stress is largely dependent on how we handle the matter, how we take the matter, and our attitude towards the problem. So that is the part I am treating in most cases when you have stress. So as we move on, we'll understand. Right? Let us first get clarification on these two concepts. I told you I am trying to marry two concepts, the mindfulness on one side and the well-being on the other side. Now, if you look at the mindfulness part of it, right? That's a broader concept again, but let me not go to the nitty-gritties of it. Let me just give you the high-level understanding of this concept, right? So when you say mindfulness, it is in very simple terms, you train your mind to stay in the present moment, right? Present moment. And there is a key word here. You stay in the present moment with full awareness of what's happening outside and inside you, without judgment. Without judgment is very important, because that is what causes the problem for us. You don't judge things. You don't judge situation. You accept the reality as it is and feel it at a given point in time. That is the key here. So for example, in real life situation, if I just take it, right? I have a picture. You must have seen this picture. You must have seen this picture elsewhere, right? This is a very popular picture you'll find in the internet. Sorry. Right. It is a popular picture you find in the internet. As you can see, the dog is mindful. The man's mind is full. So how you get into the dog state is what we talk about in mindfulness, right? So that is the very simple thing, but the actual practice or getting to that state is not easy. That requires a lot of training, that requires a lot of realization, that requires a lot of effort. So as I always say, we all like to have a simple life, but for me, simplicity is the most complex thing to achieve, because it requires a lot of shift, especially within our mindset, before we talk about the outside. So this mindfulness state is where you don't think about your past, you don't worry about your future, you try to focus yourself for the moment. Now you're listening to this presentation. How many of you are actually focusing and engaging with this presentation and what I'm talking? There'll be a lot of things that is going through your mind, but how you avoid those distractions and listen. I know it's not easy. You have to practice. Although you want it, you have to practice your mind. There are exercises to do that. There are various models to follow. Today is not the time to do that, but I'm just giving you the concept. Then we have the next concept, financial well-being. Financial well-being is also another concept that is very important and relevant. Here, the basic idea is, again, a state of mind. Well-being is a state of mind, right? Rather than a physical thing. The physical part contributes, but that is not the well-being part of it. You feel secure about your finances. You're comfortable with your finances, right? And you have control over your day-to-day expenses or financial commitments. And you're free to make your choices that makes you happy or that you can enjoy. When you read or when you hear this explanation, perhaps you might feel that for you to get there, you need to be very rich. You need a lot of money. But that is not the case. The concept is slightly different to that. The concept is, irrespective of your financial standing, irrespective of your wealth, how you maintain the balance with your earnings and expenditure, and more importantly, maintain that status mindset. So it's again, the major part of this is in your mind. So to go further, you don't have to be necessarily debt-free to achieve the well-being state. And you don't have to have a lot of money to achieve well-being state. And we have enough research findings that people with a lot of money have a lot of problems. And their well-being status or well-being score is much lower than sometimes an average income earner. So there are reasons why it happens so, right? So therefore, it's about your security, freedom of choice, and control. So that is what you need to achieve. So for you to achieve that, you need to work on various areas. Today, my topic is not about financial well-being alone. So that's a very wide area again. It has several stages. The starting point of financial well-being is financial literacy. That's the starting point, because you need to know the subject, you need to know some concept before you deal with it. And then you move on to financial discipline, financial freedom, and then you go to financial well-being state. Now, most of the professionals, like all of us, right? We have the literacy part and we have the conceptual knowledge. We sometimes know the answer also, but what we lack is mostly the discipline part of it, right? That's where we get wrong. So that's why I say, I think even before this program, I have shared some comments on social media as well. Most of the people who come to me, right, are educated professionals, and out of that, up to 40% are finance professionals, including CFOs. That is very, it's not strange though, because that's because we know sometimes the people who deal with money like CFOs are the parties or the crowd with more stress in financial matters, because more than their own finances, they are dealing with a lot of financial matters in their organizations. So they are under tremendous stress. But there are other people who are not as stressful as the professionals, partly to do with the education level. So I'll give you one example, because we have a lot of professionals here. Because we professionals know a lot of things. We know what uncertainty is about. We know how to analyze uncertainty. We know the risks in uncertainty. So when we know a lot of things, we tend to analyze a lot of things, and we tend to reduce that uncertainty to a greater level for us to act, because we know the stuff and we feel the danger. But an ordinary person or a person who have little knowledge about these things do not go to that level of analysis in making decisions. With the little knowledge they have, they perhaps take some risk. But there's a common area for an educated professional and an ordinary person, that is the unknown component, the uncertainty. For example, we talk about the election now, right? There's election coming up. So we do a lot of analysis and we talk about the bank rate and this and that, but there is no guarantee what we predict will actually happen. So we get stressed for those models and the predictions, but an ordinary person would sometimes depend on basic information. They apply 80-20 rule and they execute. So that is one part of additional stress that professionals get. That's just one part. There are many. And the other area, we get a lot of stress in this area is because we do not study this psychology part, the behavioral part. We study only the technical part. And unfortunately, money management is not double lengthy. Money management is not IFRS, right? Because what we learn in school and in most of the educational curriculum, professional or academic, are the technical finances, right? That is basically how to record transactions, how to analyze them, the ratio calculations. But we are not taught about basic money management from our school days, right? However much we are knowledgeable about those technical things, we sometimes fail in our day-to-day real life financial decisions because we are not very good at that. So that is what we discuss here. So financial well-being is about being comfortable with your money decisions, being comfortable with how you deal with money, and more importantly, having that attitude that will support you achieve your well-being state, which will be discussed in a while as we move on. Now, I discussed mindfulness, that is in simple terms, being in the present moment in mind without judgment, and the well-being, financial well-being, the ability to maintain a free mind with comfortable choices of your finances. Now, if you look at these two, right, at a macro level, these two concepts, mindfulness on one side, financial well-being on the other side, there's a common ground. The common ground is mind. It's about mind, how you deal with your mind and how you manage your mind. So that's a large portion of both these concepts, right? Now, this connection helps us to master both these domains by addressing one single component, that is mind. It affects slightly differently to the two concepts, but majority of it is the common area. Now here, say for example, I'll just give you a basic example how we connect the two. Let's say a person who practices this mindfulness, that is being present in the current moment, they are not worried about or they are not stressed about their past decisions. They know they have taken a decision, right? And that might have caused you a problem or a stress, but you don't live in it. You just focus on what needs to be focused at that point in time. I'll give you another example. Recently, a young couple came to me. This is for a business. They are in a severe crisis in their business. They have debts and they have pledged all their assets. And the lenders are calling them every day. And the wife was explaining the situation. And she was saying her husband start the stress. He gets a stress from the morning when he wakes up. His face is dark, right? He's stressful and he doesn't even talk well. When I asked why, he said, no, sir, I remember the lenders start calling me starting from 10 o'clock also. So then my question back to him, is there anything you can do in between, right? You wake up in the morning, you start getting calls at 10 o'clock. And then you start worrying about the 10 o'clock calls starting from the morning itself. It will only increase your blood pressure. It will only increase your stress, but nothing will change, right? It's just that you anyway have to face that call at 10 o'clock. So mindfulness is not being so worried about that. You have to plan for what has to happen. You have to have a solution. That's fine. But mere worrying won't help you at all. So that combination, being mindful on your financial matters, right? Act on what has to be acted upon at a given point in time. Not regretting about the past, not being anxious about the future. If you can avoid both of this, you can improve yourself much, much better. Not just in terms of financially, but in many other areas. So what would you do if you really want to master this in that kind of a situation? You don't stay in your stress mood until 10 o'clock. You will plan how you are going to respond to that. And once you are done with your response action plan, you park it and you just spend the day with whatever the routine you have to. I know it's easily said than done. Most of you who are listening to me now would want that situation, but I know it's not easy because it's a mind game. That is why I told you I'm only giving an awareness today, right? If you really want to achieve it, you have to go through a process. You have to train your mind. You have to follow certain steps. It's a transformation. But once you go through that process, your life will be much, much easier, because I'm not just talking from theory. I'm talking based on my personal life experience since the day I left my job, how I achieved it. And I, in fact, got further practical ways of managing it by looking at how others deal with it. So therefore, it is a state of mind that we are trying to achieve in the first place over a period. That's a paradigm shift. That I would say kind of a new life that you are going to achieve if you achieve that state, because that state will give you a lot of opportunity, strength, and the methodology to deal with your day-to-day matters. Right. If I move forward a little bit, right? I want you to do another exercise now quickly, right? Your money personality play a bigger role in your financial decisions. I'll explain about that and what are those personalities in a while. Before that, let us first figure out what our personalities are. So there is a link. I can even share that link in a, if I share it in the chat box, can they see?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know whether I have to go out. You don't want to go out from the screen, but let me give you the link. You can, I just simply say, you just type my Chaaminda.com, right? Chaaminda. Chaaminda.com. So then if you go there on the menu, you can find there are areas and financial well-being. There's a financial well-being area. If you go there, you can see this, find out your money personality, right? Find out your money personality. You go there, then you get set of statements. Just take 2 minutes. Don't take more than 2 minutes. Quickly read those statements and tick whatever applicable to you. Click whatever applicable to you, right? What explains your personality, who you are in those. You can tick all the items that connects to your life. This is a quick exercise I'm doing, right? If anyone is struggling, let me know. Or if anyone could find the direct link, please provide it, because if I go out of this, I will lose the presentation mode. Right. You go to offerings. Under offerings, there is the fourth item is financial well-being. Then you go to this page. So once you are done with it, right? Once you are done with it, I want you to use this poll and mark, right? These are the 5 options you have. worshipper, status seeker, vigilant, avoider. So you will get different answers based on the questions you respond. Sometimes you might get a particular personality type. Sometimes you might get an answer, you don't have a dominant personality. That is fine. That means you don't have a dominant personality. You will get the answer only if you have a dominant personality. Right? I can see the polling going on. So while you do this exercise, let me also explain. Now, this is a very summarized version of this exercise, just to get a high-level feeler about your personality. But when I do this in a one-to-one, no, in a real workshop situation, there is a little more lengthy questionnaire that will give you little more accurate answer than this. Sometimes this might change depending on your answer now, because quickly you might answer, but later you might change your position. That doesn't matter. I just want to show you the concept. Maybe you can do it again, right? The question is still there. You can do it again and see whether the answer changes. That's fine. Right, I can see about 60 people have responded by now. In the interest of time, we will quickly go. Yeah, I'm going to stop at 100, right? So we have about 300 plus in the audience. I'm going to stop at 100, then talk about it. $86. Right, I got 100, more than 100. I'll stop the poll now. Now, let me share the results. Right, you can see the results. About 42 C, avoider category. And we have about 20, right? 21 D, B. So these are different categories you have. Right. Now let me quickly, I stop the poll. Let me quickly go through the 4 types, right? I'm giving a very basic explanation. It has a much advanced version as well. So you have 4 types: avoiders, status seekers, worshippers, and vigilant, right? Money avoiders are those who are not very keen about money matters. They try to stay away from money as much as possible. They try to stay away from financial decision. It's not that they have a fear. They don't want to deal with that. They have better things in life to focus on. They try to keep money matters at a minimum level, right? And as a result, they don't even keep a track of their transaction. They don't get involved in, wealth management, right, type of activities. So they are just parking. Now, the next category, S category, is status seeker. Now, the status seeker category, these people believe the more wealth you have, better it is. So these are the people who wants to look rich. They always go for the branded items. They always go for brand new vehicles. Let's say you have a situation where you have a we want to buy a vehicle. The market price is, say, let's say 8 million. 8 million is the brand new market price. And you have the same type of vehicle that you're looking for. Somebody has purchased, and with 1,000 mileage, you have the vehicle at 7.5 million. But you don't want that because that vehicle is almost brand new. But you don't want to go for it purely because you don't want to feel that you are the second owner of the vehicle. I want to always own the first, the brand new. That those are the people who go after the mobile phone. When the Apple releases the latest version, you go and buy it, right? Not that you have used all the features of the previous version, but you want, these are the people who go after these brands, right? And during the financial crisis, these are the people who got affected the most because they get the highest stress than the others because the expectations are high. They want brands, so they are very expensive. When they can't afford it, they get stressed. Then you have the worship category. The worship category is these people believe everything is money. These are the people who say time is money, right? Time is money. Everything is money. So don't sleep. You are wasting time. You are wasting money, right? So if you are trying to measure everything in monetary terms, and these are the people who tend to, I'm talking about the extreme case. Don't worry when I'm giving the explanation. Sometimes one might think, no, I'm not that type. But the assessment gives you your extreme version, but the explanation I'm giving are the extreme end. But you can have mix of those, right? The worship category, these are the people who can even kill another person for money, right? Because money is so important in their life. So even when they say, for example, when you want to find your life partner, you look for the wealth aspect of the partner, the dowry, the properties the partner has, that those things play a bigger role in your decision than other things because you have a high weight on the money aspects. And these are the people who compromise the relationship for financial gains, who compromise your loyalty to organizations for better pay, because you always make decisions on financial things. Then you have the vigilant category. So vigilant category, I think most of the people here were in that category. So vigilant category, they are very careful. They are very careful. And it's not a strange answer I got because mostly the finance people, I get this answer because they do a lot of analysis. They are very concerned about the expenditure, but at times end up doing unnecessary level of analysis, taking a lot of time to make decision. When you want to buy a vehicle, you do a lot of research. You keep on searching. And sometimes you end up not taking the decision at the right time also because you are too much, you're very much concerned about those analysis, right? So vigilant, extra careful. So as a result, this category perhaps can end up losing some opportunities because you keep waiting for the right opportunity and doing a lot of analysis. So I just gave you very high level, extreme level features of those people. So why it is important for us to know this personality? It is important for us to know this personality so that we know our type, so that we know how our mindset works, because our unconscious decision making is influenced by this. Even our stress is largely influenced by this. When you know your personality, then you know where you can go wrong, and then you can treat that. Then you can figure out what are the mistakes I can make because of this personality I possess, right? And then how I avoid it. And there are ways and means you can transform. If you're an extreme avoider, you can transform yourself, because the avoiders find it very difficult to achieve your life goals and aspirations because you are very lazy in certain cases, right? Because that might block your career progression. So therefore, when you understand your personality, there are ways and means you can migrate from one personality to another, or maybe you can avoid the negatives of that personality and acquire the good things in the other. So you can transform yourself to an optimal personality type. So all of us have a mix of all this. So therefore, the importance of this is to understand your personality and then adjust it and alter it and align it with our formula when we achieve our financial well-being state. Right. I'll give you the opportunity to ask your question at the Q&A stage, that you can ask any question, I can clarify further, right? So that is the importance of this. Right. Now, how do you free your mind from financial burden? That's an important thing. Right. Again, I must tell you, I'm giving you a very basic, simple criteria here. But if you want to solve your problem in real life, you have to take each individual case one by one and handle it. And there are different approaches of solving it. I'm giving you a kind of a common treatment now, or common approach you can take to find the connection between mindfulness and well-being. I'm now taking in. Okay, what gives you the burden? What gives you stress? What gives you stress is not necessarily your financial problem, not necessarily your debt burden, not necessarily your job. What gives you stress is how you take it and how you deal with it. So first of all, we need to understand that, because we should not take the problem into our head. We have to leave it outside and solve it, right? So for example, you must let go of your mistakes in the past. Let's say, for example, you might be regretting about a job offer you didn't take up, and now working on another, maybe you are getting into a job, you say, I did not take that decision 1 year ago, therefore I lost. I met a CFO some time ago. Every time I meet him, he used to talk about his past decisions. He said, I was working in a good company in a foreign country. I came here to Sri Lanka and got a good offer, though. I worked in a good place, but my salary was less than 50% of what I used to get in the previous place. Now I have spent here about 3-4 years. I regret that I didn't stay back wherever. And he in fact calculated the loss, his previous salary and the current salary and the number of years. He said, this is the amount I have lost. But what's the point in doing all that? That will only aggravate your problem. That will only increase your blood pressure. That will only increase your stress, right? You made a decision, there was a consequence, that's it. But how you get out of it? There is a 3-step model. It's a very basic model, as I told you, right? Very basic. First, acknowledge. Right? Acknowledge. So don't curse yourself, or don't curse anyone who is part of it. It is done and dusted. You have taken a decision. You acknowledge, I took a decision and I made a mistake, and there are consequences. First, accept it. Don't try to blame everyone around you or the rest of the people. It was your decision. Maybe it was your fate, whatever, right? Acknowledge it. Then, number 2, learn, right? Learn. What do you learn? What led to that decision? How did you take that decision? What were the considerations you took when you made that decision? And what went wrong? And I think this approach you can even use in a couple of weeks' time when you vote for the presidents also, right? We always blame the political regime, but we don't analyze how we took decisions and how we can correct course, right? We can use the same thing. What went wrong in the past in our decision? What were the considerations I used? And how do I now look at it fresh, right? Whether I need to change the considerations, whether I need to look at a different angle that I didn't see in the past, right? Or from hindsight, right? Because I took a decision without knowing certain things at that point. Now, with experience, I know after the decision, these things can also impact me. Now, I take those also into account in my future decisions, right? And then release. What do you release? Release your guilty feeling. Release your regret, right? No point in holding a regret. No point in holding a guilty feeling. It won't help you at all. You focus on what you're supposed to do now, the present moment. That's where the mindfulness come in, right? Mindfulness, okay? Something happened in the past. This is the consequence. Let me now look at what should I do now to move forward. Right, I think I gave you a high-level framework, right? Acknowledge, learn, release. This is a very basic framework. There are many other components in it, but just in the interest of time, I gave you. This might help you. This might help you in a big way if you really understand this concept. Right. Now, let's get into the financial matters. So how you stay in present with financial matters. So mindfulness, you are blending with the financial matters. Now, I told you, when you say mindfulness, it has two sides you need to remove from your mind. One is regretting about the past, right? Worry, no worry. And being anxious or worrying about the future. That is also outside mindfulness. Let's say, what will happen to me? Will I be able to survive? Will the exchange rate go up? Will that be a problem for my finances? Will that be a problem for my savings? Right? I am not saying you should ignore this. As professionals with our knowledge, we must look at the future. We have to forecast it. We have to plan. We have to prepare a budget. We have to be ready for the contingencies. Do all that. Do it right. And then release it. Don't keep it in your head and have the worry all the time. Then what happens? Let's say you have a financial matter. And then let's say with the bank, you are dealing with the loan matter. And then you try to solve it, you discuss with the bank, you work out something, and you have a wedding function the following day. So then when you go to the wedding, you should be able to enjoy that moment. No point in carrying those things in your head, right? That is how you connect, right? You have to get rid of your worrying, and you have to get rid of your assumptions, gut feeling. You have to be practical, logical, factual, right? So there is this concept called circle of control model. That's very interesting. This is, you can see a depiction in the slide as well. There are things that I can control. There are things that I cannot control, right? Things that I cannot control, it's outside me. So even with the things that I cannot control, there are things that I can look at. Right? For example, you cannot control the future uncertainties. You can't control the market fluctuations. You can't control the economic downturn. You can't control the exchange rate probably. But what you can control is being prepared for it. You can prepare a budget for you. You can start building a saving for you. You can be mindful of your spending and be ready for it. So you work on the things that is within your control. You forget about the things that are beyond your control. But what happens naturally is that when we have a situation, even the current crisis situation, what people generally do is they get worried about the whole thing and they live in that stress. And that won't even give them the space to digest the problem and look at fresh, because their mind is not clear. It disturbs. So that's very important, right? So you can handle it. You can handle it if you manage it. So I'll give you an example. There was a lady, right, who was working for a bank, a senior executive in a bank, who was getting a decent salary, but having several debts, both personal level and with the staff loan also she has taken. And they were in a crisis. So within a matter of 3 months, we were able to come back to normalcy. She was able to come back to normalcy within 3 months, right? So the debts, she had 5 debts, and we managed to bring it down to 3. And then with a family budget, we prepared a budget for the family, and then in an Excel sheet, we identified the individuals, husband, wife. She had 3 children, each child, and we identified the expenditure, and then we managed them, we budgeted for them, and within 3 months, they were on track. So I don't have the luxury of playing that video because I have the video where she responds and she acknowledges and appreciates the model she got, right? So this is just one example. There are many you can talk about. So the point here is that being conscious of what needs to happen, being conscious of what is within your control, being conscious of what is outside your control. So we have to clearly, I generally document it. Right? I don't just say, okay, I get people, I give a half sheet, I give a pen, okay, you document it in front of me. Right? Then they themselves figure out what is within control, what is beyond control. And then sometimes your problem is elsewhere, not where you think. That's why it's very important to be conscious of your problem and peel it. So I'll give you another example. There was another lady who came. She was referred to me by another psychologist, right, a counselor, because that she's being treated by a counselor, and the counselor referred that person to me for financial things. When I look at her situation, she was under stress. When I asked the stress, she said she's worried about her child's education. She's worried about her future financial commitments. But when I analyzed her situation, she was getting a decent salary. She has a vehicle and she has inherited land from the family, her own land. She's living in her own house. And from a financial perspective, I did not find a valid reason for her to be stressed. But when I looked at her life a little deeper, I realized that she has got divorced 6 months ago. She is not worried about the divorce because that was a decision that they have taken with understanding by the two parties. Now, that divorce factor is now giving her a psychological stress because now she has become one. Earlier, she was depending on husband. She had someone around her. Now she is feeling insecure. That feeling of insecurity is causing unnecessary distress, which she thinks is a financial distress. She is wrong in that. So I explained to her and I clarified and guided, and I put her back to the counselor saying she's okay with the finances, but her problem is something else. Now, the thing is, I'm just giving you these examples so that you will also understand. It's very important to dig our problem and figure out where exactly the problem is. Right. So I'm talking about a point in your life, you can reduce your stress up to 70 to 80%. That's why I told you at the beginning, because out of the stress that we have, 70 to 80% is something that we created by ourselves, which can be treated merely by changing your perspectives and learning certain things. Right. So then you move forward with mindful financial habits, right? How you improve your financial habits mindfully. So mindfulness can come in two senses in the financial management or the financial well-being aspect. One is your attitude, as I told you, your personality, attitude towards money, how you deal with it, right? Whether you get panicked when you see a financial matter, or whether you want to solve it leisurely, or you act hastily, right? That's one side. The other side is there's something called impulsive buying. I think you all know impulsive buying. That means without your knowledge, you are tempted to buy things. That is marketing tricks, right? So marketeers play a lot of tricks to sell things. There's psychology. So I don't have the luxury of explaining all of them now, but I think I'll just give you a few examples. If you go and see why certain shops are light up, right? If you go to a jewelry shop, a lot of lights are there. So that atmosphere with a lot of lights gives you a psychological push to make decisions that pushes you for purchasing decisions, right? Certain colors that they use, this is called visual merchandising in the marketing world. This visual merchandising is purely a trick to manipulate the psychological weaknesses of individuals and then induce them to buy things that they sometimes don't even think of buying. So if you are mindful of your thoughts, if you are mindful of what you want, if you are mindful of what's going on, if you're mindful of the tricks played by the marketer, other side, the trader, you can avoid most of these impulsive buying, unnecessary buying, and hasty decisions. So that will save you a lot in terms of your money and in terms of making meaningful purchases. And the other side of being mindful is you have to have an idea what is happening to your money. I don't know how many of you actually track your expenditure. We sometimes blame, I earned something and I lost money. I can remember money coming in, salary coming in. I don't know where the salary went. But if you say that I don't know where salary went, you are very weak in your financial management. You are very weak in this. At least you need to know how much money you earn and where your money goes. It's a very simple thing. Today we have a lot of tools. You have mobile phones, right? You can simply track whenever you make a expenditure, you simply track it, right? That will give you visibility to what you do with your money. I told you the family, the lady in a bank, right? How we manage their expenditure. So one of the things we did was we tracked all the expenditure individually, and then we realized where we can manage. So one of the things that we did was we took the grocery list. We took the grocery list and figured out the things that we can avoid, the things that we can use alternatives at lower prices, things that we noted as waste, things that you just buy and then waste it, right? You can do a lot of analysis and then realign your grocery list simply by tracking it. Likewise, there are various other things you can track. So having full awareness of what is happening to your money, and when you make decision, being very conscious of your decision making, and keeping records is an important area in that. And the next thing is, when you want to bring in financial decisions, you need to first have a clear understanding about what you want and where you are. Sometimes when we ask, especially those who migrate maybe for sometimes to earn something and come back, end up staying in those countries probably forever because they keep on earning. Then they realize there are various other reasons. There are other reasons why you want to stay. I'm parking those. But one of the reasons why people sometimes stay is that they realize that if I come back, I earn less. So if I stay there, I can keep on earning more. But when you ask this question, why do you really want to earn that kind of money? What are you planning to do? Sometimes people don't realize that they spend time in just earning. And then when they want to start spending, their life is over, right? So more probably you'll end up with a lot of money in your bank account. You have a lot of properties around the country. All that is there. But you don't have time to spend and enjoy your life. Or maybe you're curtailed because you are too busy just collecting money. It's very important, therefore, for us to have some idea about what kind of a financial goal we have in life. What do we want in life? And then how do we plan our earnings and expenditure habit to align to it? That will give you enough room. For example, you might get different job offers. You might get different alternative sources of income. You want to make a decision. But naturally, what we generally do is we go for the one that gives you the highest income. But that highest income option may also have other sacrifices, which sometimes you overlook. Sometimes you regret later. That's why it's very important to be very conscious and be mindful of all the consequences of your decisions and all the elements that are getting affected. And then have a plan that will give you that balance that you want to achieve, right? I'll give you more example if time permits in the Q&A stage, right? So coming to the end of the presentation, so I just gave you very high level idea about the whole thing. So finding your zen, finding your balance, right? So your mindfulness, that is your staying in present and enjoying your life, and happiness is within that circle. And then you achieving the financial well-being status, that is, don't let your finances be a burden, right? If you can sleep well without worrying about your finances, that is the well-being status. When I say worrying about finances, don't get me wrong, as I told you earlier, it's not about having a lot of money in your bank accounts, being debt-free, no. Even I do have debts, right? I do have credit cards, I do have financial challenges, but that doesn't mean that I can't sleep well. So it's how you take it, how you manage it, how you keep your mindset, and how you enjoy your life. So remember that whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, we have a limited life. We have no guarantee of full potential. Or let's say our life expectancy is 70. There's no guarantee that we live up to that. So the message that this mindfulness kind of concept gives you is that life is now. Enjoy it at this point in time, right? Focus on what is in front of you and enjoy that. And take each matter one by one and work on it, right? So the takeaway would be there has to be an action from your side, right? There has to be an action from your side if you really want to make use of what we discussed today. I just gave you concept, but you can still work on it. First, think about what you want in life, both financially and non-financially. And then see how you draw that map towards it and make it a realistic goal, right? Don't just try to be, so if you are just sitting here earning 200,000 a month and then you dream to be the richest person in Asia, nice to have dreams, but be realistic, right? Secondly, you need to train your mind. It takes time, train your mind and achieve that psychological state first. Get your attitude corrected, get your personality corrected, because you cannot solve any of your financial problems if you don't have the right mindset. So whoever comes to me for your financial problems, I'm using even this method when I deal with my clients in the business, when I'm doing my business advisory services. The first thing I do is to get the mindset to the right shape, right? You have to get the right mindset to deal with the problem. You have to get the right mindset to move forward. So train your mind and get that mindset stability first. And then when you learn your personality type, you can do certain changes there as well. Track your expenditure and income, right? Have visibility of what's happening to your finances, where you get your money from, where your money is going. Then it's easier than just imagining or assuming things for you to manage things. Next thing is have a plan, have a budget. Whatever the case may be, have a budget, maybe short-term, long-term with goals, you have it. And then you have to be disciplined. If you are not disciplined as an individual, at least get your spouse or somebody around you to make you disciplined. And there are various applications and tools available. You can even use some of those to make yourself disciplined. So for example, I'll give you some tricks, right, which I generally give to day-to-day life. If I have a habit of spending wherever I go, I end up doing over shopping. So whenever you know that you have that habit, as a practice, leave your credit cards, take a certain amount of money in your pocket, which you think is the maximum you are going to spend. And then even if your mind says spend more, you have a constraint because you haven't brought your credit card or money with you, so that you are blocked. Until you get to the state where your mind is in full control, you have to use some of those tricks, right? Even the social media thing, if you have a habit of using the social media over and over in the mobile phone, there are apps which can lock, right? Okay, so Facebook, maximum 10 hours a day, then it get locked, right? Then the machine will control you until you get disciplined. So there are things like that. So therefore, discipline is key at the end for you to achieve anything more than the knowledge. So that you have to either build yourself or get into that. Right, I took a little more time than what I planned to in discussing things, but I hope it was useful. And again, I must tell you, in the interest of time, within a shorter period of time, it's very difficult to talk about all this, but I hope you got the idea what I was talking about. at least now you have some hints to explore more. Now I'm happy to take your questions and provide whatever the possible answers within this forum. Thank you very much. And over to Samira, probably to help me with the questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chaaminda. We have a couple of questions already received. We will go one by one. I will bring it to you, this one. So one good questions. Is it good to value your job based on what we earn comparing what we contribute to the workplace? So this question is about what
Can you repeat the question?
So is it good to value your job based on what we earn comparing to what we contribute to the workplace? Our contribution against what we earn from the organization.
Okay. No, I think it's a both value-based part and a technical part in that, right?
Yeah.
So the value-based part is that there is this saying, you must work more than what you get. So the theory behind it is, if you want to grow the organization, you must give more, right? More than what you get, only organization will grow. So it's a benefit for all. But on the other side, if you look at from a contribution point of view, in today's world, I would rather suggest you connect your earnings to time you spend in earning that. That's the easiest way to connect, because the time is the most critical factor. That's a limiting factor in our life, right? How much time you put in for whatever and how much money you are earning within that period. So that connection will give you the formula. Otherwise, when you say contribution, sometimes let's say what you can earn in 1 hour, right? If you spend 2 hours or 3 hours, then you are limiting your time factor. I don't know whether I've answered the person whoever asked the question, what was the intention of asking that question. I'm just giving you a high level formula for this.
Yeah. There is another question. Says, it is said that in life, with less luggages make life's journey more comfortable. How do you make a statement on that?
Again, can you repeat?
It is said that in life, with less luggages makes life journey more comfortable. Like this is materialistic, talking about material, building up materialistic. I don't know how you explain this part.
No, I think very interesting. That's why I think I'm glad that this kind of statements coming up. Oh, that's something that I have realized some time ago. You know, the less the baggages, the easier the life. So because we need to understand one thing, we all are professionals. I understand we all are professionals, we all are technical people, but despite all that, we all are humans, right? And we all have a life that is uncertain. We all die one day. It can be even tomorrow. We don't know. So my philosophy is life is now, right? Enjoy every moment. So even if you plan for a better life in future, you should not do that compromising your present happiness, right? That's why that may be slow. So for example, if you work hard for 3 years without doing anything else, you might earn a lot of money. But if you work little harder, right, and while enjoying your life, you might not earn the same amount of money that you would otherwise earn, but you have enjoyed every moment of your life. So that again is a psychological thing. So these baggages is a psychological thing because it is not physical, but you carry in your head. Life is very easy when you release them.
Yeah. There is one timely question. I think most of nowadays young chartered accountants are having this question. If someone is not planning to migrate, how much wealth is in general should that person have to be considered financially free, living out of passive income and not having to worry about money at all?
That's a very tricky question because it depends on your life, because you can't have a figure as such. Say for example, we sometimes have this situation in our day-to-day life. We say, having earned 6-figure salary, we are struggling with our expenses, but the servant who works in our house getting about 30,000 bucks a month manages a family. You sometimes, talk about it. So the point here is that it is, you have to work the formula other way around, right? You have to first define the type of life that you want to live, and then you define what is necessary for you to live that life. And that is the amount that you need to earn for you to manage your day-to-day life. And then your financial goals will tell you how much you need to earn. So unfortunately, I can't give you a figure like that now, but if that individual meets me on a one-to-one basis, I can do a actual calculation and tell what it is. That is possible. That is possible. But can't give a general figure, because there we had ministers who can live with 2,500. So I don't know, I can't, but it depends on how you define it.
Yes. I will bring another questions. Can you tell us from your experience, being a social worker gives greater life and financial balance than work in corporate?
Of course.
Mm.
I'm okay. I'll take it as a personal question for me. When I was working for a organization, when I was working for a large corporate, I get a good salary. I get a secretary, I get a peon, I get a vehicle, I get titles, I get all of them. So those are all pluses. At the same time, when I go higher, I also get more work, more stress, more responsibilities. And I also get corporate politics. And I also have to do things that I don't like. Now, when I'm out of this, you can't directly compare the earnings to earnings, but more than the financial, remember, your return in life is not necessarily in financial terms all the time, right? It's your satisfaction, your self-actualization. Now, here, I get more flexibility to do things that I like to do. I get more flexibility to manage my time. And more importantly, remember, when you want, let's say, I can earn 100,000 and donate that 100,000. I can also, without earning that 100,000, donate 100,000 worth of things, which I'm doing now, because I've been giving knowledge. I've been sharing what I have learned in a hard way, which I would otherwise charge a fee free of charge to many people, right? So that if I put a financial figure, a very big amount. So I didn't have to earn that and spend. Without earning it, I have spent it, and I have got the self-actualization. So the point here is, Samir, it's I think very important for you all to understand, as I told you, why I left my corporate job. The moment I realized the purpose of life, right? What is the purpose of my life, right? Where do I enjoy? And the moment you realize it, and the moment you realize what it matters for you, a lot of things change. So most of the people, you have to impress a lot of people around you, right? So I don't have to impress anyone. I'm impressing myself, and I'm enjoying my life. So that there's a huge amount of cost that I save on that front alone, because I don't spend to impress others. Because even today, I even travel by bus. When I want, I don't worry, because if what if the others, what do others think when I travel by bus? I mean, I must drive a vehicle. I don't have that mindset, right? That's a psychological shift or mindset shift.
Thank you for answering that personal type question also. There is one very short and straightforward questions, and even I'm interested how you are going to answer. I don't know. Let's see. Tell how to control grocery. Maybe they're talking about grocery because buying grocery also sometimes involve mindfulness in money management.
Big time. So
Yes.
that grocery, there are various things you can do. Some of the things are practiced at my place as well. You have to identify, especially for housewives, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You identify your monthly grocery list, weekly grocery list, right? That's one area, right? So the first of all, you need to have a list, right? List of items you purchase, right? So that list will help you. For example, you rice, butter, right, dal, whatever things you take, you get a list. And then you break it into weekly and monthly. So certain stuff you buy once in a month. The durable ones, rice, dal, sugar, soap, right? You can have a list so that it saves your time. You can also get discount when you buy in bulk. That's one. Then you have the weekly grocery list. That's things like vegetables, right? And fish type of things you can't keep 1 month, and you have a weekly list. That listing is important to manage things. One. Secondly, you analyze your grocery list and figure out wherever you can find substitute at a lower price. Sometimes certain brands, when you just change the brand, there can be substantial reduction in price. And then you identify things that you need to avoid completely and you need to bring in. And this also has a role when you look at in a family, individuals in the family also need to contribute, right? Even children, right? I'll give you one example that we practice and it worked well. When you manage your family expenditure, those days when we used to go on shopping, so supermarkets with our children, when we bring our card, they also come with the cart full of stuff, chocolates, biscuits, cookies, all kinds of things, right? It's a cost for us. What we did afterwards is that we gave them a salary, right? Every month they are given a salary to manage their tuition fees, groceries, everything. Now they have to manage their grocery list within that budget. When we do that, we now see a substantial reduction in all those cookies and sweets, or all those children's stuff. Now they are managing it. So they also need to learn how hard is it to earn, how they need to manage their priorities. I think I just gave few options. And on a one-to-one basis, I can give more if anyone requires any specific details. I just gave very high level.
Yeah, I will pick another one. Actually, we have now gone through some years, even during pandemic, the post-pandemic period, COVID-19 period, but still there is some question regarding the COVID, this time issues. What type of challenges you have faced during COVID time and how you overcome them? I think they are referring to that financial difficulties and the money management during the COVID period. You can share some.
I think as I told you earlier, during the COVID period, there was a false fear among most of us. The false fear was we were wondering about not being able to earn the amount that we used to earn, the OTs and all. But sometimes we forgot about the savings we got because of the disturbance. We didn't have transportation, right? We didn't have weddings in our offices. We didn't have parties. We didn't have donations, right? We didn't have, snacks, morning, evenings. So if you really calculate, in fact, I did that calculation for some people who came to me those days, right? About when they talk about stress, I asked them to calculate and show, okay, where exactly you spend. If you were to go to office, what were the usual things that you generally spend on? And then what are the expenditure you currently have, right? Probably your electricity bill must have gone up, your data bill must have gone up at home. But apart from that, compared to what you earn, in several cases, I have been able to prove them. The savings on the expenditure side was more than the loss of revenue. So therefore, there was a plus in terms of the pandemic impact for them. I think, as I told you, the most of the people got stressed not because of real financial crisis. They got stressed because of the shock they got for their lifestyle. So because if you see, there were a lot of issues, the stress issues in families, even the domestic harassment cases as well, because people got a shock for their lifestyle. They don't have the routine, right? In the morning you go, you face people, you say morning, hi, bye, and then you go to the office and you have some social life, you have parties, etc. You come back and do that. A lot of things that keeps you going. But when you happen to stay inside 4 walls of your house all the day, that can create psychological distress. So those were some of the things that we overlooked. But in terms of finances, we didn't have a greater challenge. But if I am to answer, one other way that helped most of the people during the crisis was looking for passive income. right? Passive income, because you had the luxury of staying at home and working and switching from different work. So you can earn online. You can do some other work that brings you more income. Even recently, I did a session, CPD session with AAT on earning passive income, right? If anyone wants, I think the video must be available. So that is another area. Even today you can do, right? Look for passive income options. So that will improve your income side while you manage the expenditure, because even in our case, expenditure management is a little bit challenging in the current context because the inflation and everything is there. We can look for alternative sources of income, right?
I will pick one last question with the time permits. This is a good one and I think relevant to our topics today. Generally, when we have kids, our priorities changes and our personal lifestyle changes. What is your advice or your experience on balancing our children needs and our own lifestyle?
Very good question. I may not have a perfect answer, but I'll give you my view of this problem, right? First of all, we must accept children didn't come on their own. We invited them. We have to accept that, right? So we have this habit of labeling children as a problem lately, but we don't realize that it's us who invited the problem, if you want to look at it as a problem. One thing we need to understand is that when children come, obviously our lifestyle can change, our priorities can change. It's a different thing. So that is something we have to anticipate anyway, right? You can't continue your free life that you used to have after you got children. It's difficult to explain and conclude without children, the life could be better. That's a wrong statement to say, because it depends on how you want to take life. But there are two ways of enjoying life, right? Love what you have or get what you love. Either you can build, right, or achieve or collect things that you love and enjoy your life. But that is not available all the time. Even job, we can't get the exact job that we love, we want. We can't find the exact type of people that we want to associate, right? If we have control over it, we can do that, and that's the best thing. But when we can't do that, you start loving what you get, right? You find a way to enjoy what you get. So if you have children, how you enjoy with them, right? How you spend time with them, how you change your lifestyle to suit theirs and have some congruence. Remember, when you are a family or when you are part of a community, it is very unfair if you start thinking about yourself alone and trying to build your life. You have to find a way to build your life around you. So that's why even the previous question you asked me about leaving your job or career, this is also part of the decision. Now I'm with my family, so I'm finding those days there's complaints sometimes, the children don't have their time. Of course, I'm still busy. I'm very busy now, right? To be honest, I'm busier than before, right? I was not as busy as now when I was working. But the good news is that bulk of my time is now spent at home, right? Even though I'm busy, I'm at home most of the time with children. I get go into my room and then I do my work remotely or whatever, right? I have that flexibility. Whenever children want me, I can find that time somehow, because I don't have to compromise that because there is an important meeting in office. So the point is that understand the reality of life. Life is not what we expect. Life is what we get, right? And it's a psychological shift or a mindset shift that you need to do, either to suffer or enjoy the life. It's a choice, right? That's why you say pain is permanent, suffering is your choice, right? You have to make a choice. So I think the answer to that is, again, you make a choice and build on it. I think once more, let me reiterate for all of you, whoever is online, you are professionals. I know we all are busy, but at least find a little time from your busy schedule to spend with you alone and find out who you are and what you want. And the day you do that exercise, I'm sure you'll find sometimes a radical change in your life. And that is how I left my career. So having achieved such a high position, right? I was in a very good position in the finance field before I left. And even today, some of my friends blame me for taking that decision. Why did I, scattered that career progression and, now stay jobless? But that decision, very big decision, very difficult decision, I took when I realized this. And once you get into that mood, you can't go back. You will not compromise it. You will enjoy it. So that's why spend that time for yourself. Figure out who you are, define yourself, and then start feeding you. So then you will enjoy every moment of your life. And I'm glad that even my wife joined recently, right, to my club. She also has, resigned or left from the job, took a break, and now I don't know. I didn't influence her at all, but her decision. That's life, right? I don't expect every one of you to leave the job, but wherever you are, try to find that connection. Your life purpose and goals should connect with whatever you do. If there's a disconnect, you will not enjoy, right? That's the final message I want to say.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chaaminda. There are a couple of questions unanswered, but we will see how we can address those. But with the time limit, let me officially thanks everyone and wind up our today's valuable session. Mr. Kumarasiri, actually, we are indeed grateful for accepting our humble invitations, your detailed presentation and explanation and valuable output at the end of the session. So you have proved it again, and we have also witnessed today as a speaker, corporate trainer, financial wellness coach, with this given overwhelming number of participations today. Thank you, sir, again on behalf of CS Sri Lanka Kuwait chapter and all the participants in today's forum. And
thank you very much. Thank
yes.
you very much, everyone, and thank you, the Kuwait chapter, for inviting me. I have published the contact details if anyone wants to reach out to me for anything. So I hope you got something out of it. I don't know whether I have addressed everyone's concern, but I hope it was useful. Thank you very much once again, everyone, for taking part in this. I hope it was useful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And finally, I must say, I must give a special thanks to Tarindu Rajapaksa for being a wonderful host for today's session, and all other executive committee members of Sri Lanka Kuwait chapter for made this session successful. Finally, I must give a big thanks to all the participants. Unless your participation and interaction with us today, this will not be successful. We are looking forward to arrange another informative and interactive sessions by this EXCO. Keep in touch. Thank you, everyone.